No matter how smart you are, having a false or limiting belief can be a huge hindrance to your success. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 practical steps to follow and crush your limiting beliefs. My name is Chike, and here is my creed to you. When God sent you into this world, He sent you as a messenger with a gift or plenty of gifts. Your job is to bless the world with that gift. And my job is to inspire you to impact the world. Let's dive right in. Number 1, develop an unshakable confidence in yourself.
The second step to overcoming limiting beliefs is to develop an unshakable self-confidence. To develop high levels of self-confidence, you must first understand the law of concentration. This law states that anything you dwell upon grows in your reality, or as they say, what you think about, you bring about. In other words, anything that you think about long enough and hard enough eventually becomes part of your mental processes, exerting its influence and power on your attitude and your behavior. If you constantly think of boldness and courage and self-assertion, you become progressively bolder and more courageous and more self-assertive. If you want self-confidence on the outside, you must practice complete integrity and self-confidence on the inside. One of my favorite quotes is, "You are not what you think you are, but what you think you are." Self-confidence allows you to move out of your comfort zone and take risks without any guarantees. When you develop in yourself this unshakable quality of self-confidence, everything else will be possible for you.
And so number 2, constantly evaluate yourself.
Hello there and welcome. You know, way back around the turn of the century, at the 1900, William James from Harvard said, "Believe and your belief will create the fact." All things are possible if you believe. Well, you know, I studied for a long time. I started to study this book, Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about belief in here. He says, you're not ready for what you want until you believe you can get it. I found that the only 2 sources of reference we could go to find out anything about ourselves is science and religion. They all say you've got to believe. So I got figuring out, how do you believe? How do you change a belief? Interesting subject, because I'm going to tell you something. Your results are nothing but the manifestation of your belief system. Well, our belief system, now listen carefully, is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently when we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. Let me repeat that. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. Frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about it will change. I began reevaluating who I was. I started to study. I never stopped studying. And I found as I reevaluated, I had a much higher opinion of myself. I found out things about me that I would have never believed if you had told me. The power that's locked up within us, the marvelous system we've got. Do you know the blood circulates through your veins every 33 seconds, through hundreds of miles of passageway, bang, just like that, clears all the food in and all the garbage out. Stop and think of the central nervous system. It's the most complex electrical system in the world. And you've got it. Think of your brain, an electronic switching station like that. You can change the vibration of yourself and everything around you. We have awesome powers, and it's all based on what you believe about you.
Number 3, let go of your past.
When we talk about the hurts of life, one of the things that I learned very early is that my hurt was directly linked to my perception of the hurt. What I recognized is that the person that I blamed for the hurt did what they felt they needed to do in their lives. And the only way it was possible for me to hurt was to compare what happened in that moment to another moment. And think about this. Because when the moment is all that there is, and there is no past that you're comparing it to, the moment feels very differently. So what I found was that my emotions were very, very closely linked with the expectations and my attachment to my past, whether that past was an hour ago or whether that past was a year ago. Knowing this, I began to experiment with myself and say, what if now is all there is? How would I feel about my partner breaking up with me or my friend betraying me? How would I feel about that? It doesn't change what happens, because we can't always change what happens. We are definitely empowered to change the way we respond to what happens. And if you think about your life, when your heart is broken and when you feel betrayed, it typically is because we are making a comparison between the moment and something in the past. And the question is, what do we use as our frame of reference? What do we use as that point of reference? The same is true with self-esteem. When people say, I'd like to be in better shape, or I'd like to be a better artist, or I'd like to be a better musician. And I understand the intent, and I think it's good to want to improve. But we can only be better. This is really subtle. That's very, very powerful. We can only think that we need to be better when we are comparing what we are now to something else. If we are not making that comparison, all we are is what we are in the moment. And if we have truly done, I'll speak to our viewers, if they have truly done what they believe is their best effort in the moment, then there cannot be anything any better. So I was asked recently about my failures in life. Greg, what are your greatest failures in life? And my answer was not what the interviewer was expecting, because from my perspective, I honestly believe I have no failures in my life. There are many times when the outcome has not been what I thought the outcome was going to be. But what I have chosen to do is, when I go forward with anything in life, if I say yes to an invitation, if I say yes to a commitment, and I'm in 100%, and I do all that I could possibly do given those circumstances in that moment, and I could do nothing else, that's all I could do. And it's impossible for me to fail. Now, the outcome, I may have expectations of an outcome that change, but I've never thought of that as a failure. And I know it's subtle. It's a very different way of thinking, but it also has freed me from the polarity of the success-failure paradigm and allowed me to move forward with new choices in my life. And I continue. I'm a student. I am a student of understanding myself, my relationship to the world, and I continue to do these things.
Number 4, only compare yourself today with yourself yesterday.
The things that hold you back in any area is going to be your limiting beliefs, what you're afraid of, what you think you can't do, and the story that you tell yourself. Yeah. If we kind of now might go back in on YouTube, I think we all have these levels of taste, yeah, where you can tell when something looks good. You can tell, you watch YouTube videos, you buy XYZ products, you have a certain level of taste. And so if you're making a YouTube video, you watch other YouTube videos, you look at a Casey Neistat, you look at Rich's videos, you look at my videos, you look at the YouTubers you look up to, you're like, oh, that's a good video. Then you get in front of the camera and you're super nervous and you create something that's total crap. Yeah. It's going to happen, right? Like the first time you do anything, you suck at it. And so you create something that's total crap. And this is your ability level and this is your taste level. And your ability can't match your taste. Yeah. And so you don't publish it. You say, this is stupid. I'm never going to be a YouTuber. This is not going to work out for me. Where you don't just go here at the start, right? Like you've made videos for years. I've made videos for years. Casey Neistat has made videos for years. The YouTubers that you're looking up to have made videos for years. You go back to what they first started with, they probably sucked as well, right? And so how you bridge that gap is by slowly getting better. Right? Consistency, more videos, feedback, improvement, getting better, and you eventually hit that mark. And then, it took me 800 videos, 800 recorded, published videos on my channel before I liked what I saw, before I didn't cringe, like, oh, yeah. Right? And other people will leave in all these great comments about my videos, but I felt like I could be way better. I felt like my taste was up here and my abilities were still like inching. And so it's totally normal. And what helped me kind of get through it was understanding that at the beginning you suck at anything. You're trying to ride a bike, you're trying to learn a camera, you're trying to speak French, you suck at the start. Yeah. And with practice you get better and better and better. So it's a new skill that you have to learn, like everything else. Expect to suck. Don't expect to be great. And just try to suck less than you did the last time.
Small improvements
right?
at a time.
Don't compare yourself to me or Rich or Casey or anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself yesterday and try to make it a little bit better. If you do that, then eventually you'll build something pretty impressive.
And then number 5, people, discover your real potential?
The answer to the question, how do we awaken this potential? First, we have to discover what this potential is. And this is where the bulk of my life's journey has led. I'm a scientist. I'm a degreed earth scientist, a strong background in the life sciences. And what I found early on, Amrit, if you ask someone to draw the line, where does science end and spirituality and everyday life begin? The moment you draw that line, you have just fallen into the ancient trap that keeps us stuck in the thinking and the living that has prevented us from embracing the deepest truths of our existence, the deepest truths of our potential. Because what I came to understand as a scientist early in life, I was in school back in the 1950s, 1960s, early 1970s. And what I found was that everything I was learning was placed into these boxes. There was a little box that was called geology, and a little box called chemistry, and another one physics, and mathematics and cosmology. Nature doesn't know about those boxes, and neither does our lives. So this is why sometimes academia seems to fail us when we are trying to solve the problems of everyday life, because we have been taught that we are separate from the world around us, that we are separate from ourselves. And this is one of those really beautiful places where science, spirituality, social policy, and everyday life come together in a beautiful way. Because the truth is that our ancestors understood our relationship to ourselves and to the world around us on a very deep level. They may not have been scientists as we describe them today, but they definitely understood that we are not what we've been told, and we are so much more than we've ever imagined. And so that led me on the journey to some of the most isolated and remote and pristine and beautiful and mystical and magical places remaining on the earth, from the highlands of central China and Tibet, and the monks and the nuns and the abbots and the monasteries, and Nepal and India, certainly, and the Yucatan, and the shamans and the curanderos, and into the Andes Mountains and the Altiplano Bolivia, and all through the desert Southwest, and in the Aboriginal traditions of the great land of Australia, and more. And the bottom line, as different as these traditions are, there's a through line that connects them all. And they all tell us that we arrived on this earth intact with extraordinary potential, where science has asked us to believe that we developed slowly, gradually over a long period of time. Now, this is a very, very different way of thinking. In the new science, this is where the science is just, it's so very cool. We now have the ability to do what used to be science fiction. We can extract the DNA from the fossilized remains of ancient forms of life. Sounds like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and then resurrect them even.
Jurassic Park was science fiction when it was written. And to the best of my knowledge, we are not resurrecting these forms of life. My mic here. But we now have the ability, we can actually pull the DNA from the bone marrow of the beings that we were taught were our ancestors, that we descended from. And what we've discovered is that we did not evolve slowly, gradually over a long period of time. Neanderthal, we didn't descend from Neanderthal, that we showed up. We appeared on Earth 200,000 years ago. Scientists agree with that. No problem with the date. The question is, where do we come from? How did we get here? And why is it that we haven't changed in 200,000 years? This is not Darwin's idea of evolution. So what the DNA is telling us is that we have the cranial capacity, we've got the neural networks, we've got the physical structure that we arrived with all of the extraordinary capabilities already intact. We were equipped with capabilities light years beyond what we needed in the world to survive 200,000 years ago. And it happened all of a sudden. It did not happen slowly, gradually over this long period of time.